All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 387 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian, I think. Yeah, I am. Joined today by St. Louis Kiss Lonnie, Marcus Almighty Mark, and the voice of reason, the 69th Blizzard.
Hello.
Ken. Gentlemen, good to reconvene our Council of the Elder to pontificate about all matters Kisstoric. Or not. Or this week we're just going to troll through the board and pick some topics that grab our attention. But let's start off with some new purchases and news items if anyone's got anything of interest to share from either of those areas of discussion. Okay.
I do have something, just a couple things related to the Destroyer 76 45th anniversary. There's the slip mat, and then I got the poster. So
oh, nice.
Really thick. It's hard to. So I'll probably frame that. I'm thinking I'm going to frame the not the slip mat, but the poster. So, but that's all I got. I'm waiting for my European colored vinyl for a Destroyer. It's on its way somewhere between our countries.
Well, good luck with that. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, hopefully it's in one shape.
On international deliveries at this time of year. Mark, may you say something? Of course you can.
Okay, so just for those who are waiting for their Project Gemini stuff, it is in mail. It is en route to you, but you know how mail is right now, so please be patient. I've gotten, I sent Joe a copy of that Project Gemini The Ordinary Day lace cut. It took him 2 months to get it to England. That should give you a little overview of how mail is right now. So it's in the mail. Just please be patient. Also, for those of you who are interested, almost done the mastering of the new record. It will be out on time digitally in January. And we're also writing the next Dark Monarchy album in January as well. So that's going to be done as well. And I'm still extremely pissed off at Kiss Online for charging me $60 customs tax for the stupid box set, which I refuse to pay. And I haven't picked up my box. It's still sitting at DML. And it's not because I didn't want to get it, understand, because they've given me such a effing runaround with this stupid fucking thing. I tried to pay with my PayPal. It didn't work with my PayPal on their site. I went there to pay it in cash. They couldn't accept cash for some reason at the actual head office.
Your money's no good here.
I know. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, take the stupid money, give me the damn box. You keep sending me emails that your package is waiting. Well, then take the fucking money and give it to me then. Like, I don't understand here. Like, I don't even want to see anything with Kiss Destroy. You think I hated it before? You just wait till all this is done with. Okay, sorry, I had to blow that off. I was in a bit of a mood earlier today, but thank you for letting me vent that out.
Well, you forgot something.
What's that?
Your Christmas EP's out. And it's really good.
Yes.
Congratulations on that. It's really fun. It's that time of year. It's your fourth Christmas EP. Was it 2 instrumentals or is it 3 instrumentals?
3 and 1 singing. 3 and 1 with both.
And 1 vocal. And it's really groovy. I haven't had a chance to put all 4 of them together like I do usually every year. As each one is added to, I then just play them and stack them all together in my playlist. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So yeah. Yeah, check out Project Gemini.
That makes me feel a lot better. Thank you so much for saying that.
So, yeah, I don't have any new purchases. Ken, you did post the latest news to come off the Kiss My Wax Facebook group, which is
there was it's like a teaser, I think, of from Michael Kohler, who actually was involved with the Destroyer European stuff. And it's the back cover of the music from The Elder, and it's a little short video, and he's waving it, and you can see the reflective nature of the cover It's like a foil type cover. So people are speculating what that is. Maybe it's the one that was already part of that, picture disc one, or it's maybe a newer, another release for the Elder. We don't know for sure yet.
So the Germans are apt to it again, and it looks like it's the Elder cover printed in the same manner as Kiss Killers was, on a metallic mylar-ish type print stock of some description. So do we know whether it's a double LP 45 RPM half-speed mastered version of the vinyl, or is it just a custom cover for a German pressing? They seem to have done a pretty good job, though, historically, of splitting up and differentiating product in different markets. So in Germany, you did have the silver vinyl double platinum rather than the gaudy, god-awful American ones, which I refused to buy just for being, some of the worst looking product ever. They did do the kind of salt and pepper splatter best of solos. They did, of course, do the incredibly impressive Kiss Killers, which I'm so still thrilled that you got a decent copy of, Ken, and mine was worthless due to damage in transit. And that's why I won't order from them, because, it's luck of the draw. And just with how shipping is at the moment internationally, as Mark has just said, on sending an LP to England, I recently sent a package to Germany, and it was 4 pounds of cassettes and CDs, but it still took a hell of a long time. And I've had packages come from Europe and elsewhere that really look like they've done a couple thousand miles via donkey. So it's tough times to buy product and have it delivered.
Swimming duck.
Well, I went into Amoeba in San Francisco, for Record Store Day, and it was so nice to go through the vinyl and see Kiss Destroyer there and see all the corners not dinged, no folds from improper packing, and, number one, to actually purchase in a mom and pop record store in my local community and contribute to the economy and jobs there. So, it is an upside and a downside. Upside is the Germans are doing some incredible stuff, and if Michael's involved, the quality's there with the attention to detail that went in. Just look at how glorious that Kiss Killers was.
So curious though. So this is going to be a separate German release of the Elder. Anything being found out about the other version, like the picture disc from the Elder? Like, has any news on it? Has any of it sent yet, or what's going on?
It's March next year.
It's March.
Oh, okay.
I'm in March. Yeah.
I didn't order any of that stuff. I'm just curious. That's all.
My order didn't get canceled, so and that one goes on to
I actually ordered T-shirts. That's what I ordered. For that, I ordered a Elder based T-shirt. I didn't order any of the albums or anything.
What about you, Lonnie? Did you order any of that stuff?
I ordered the Rock and Roll Over and the Elder vinyl. I didn't get the limited edition Elder.
The picture disc you got, yeah?
I did not get the picture disc.
The Rock and Roll Over, you didn't get that one?
No, I got the picture disc, but I didn't get the limited edition thing.
Yeah.
Rock
I had
and
to walk
Roll
into a
is
meeting,
still
it came out of
available.
the meeting, and it was gone. So. But had I ordered it anyway, it might have been canceled.
So, Lonnie, why don't we start off with you on a topic from the board for our discussion today, and something that's piqued your interest this week?
Well, going out of character, I'm going to go with a topic that struck my interest. And I have to find it again. But it was, what were you expecting from Kiss after Revenge? I thought that was interesting, surprisingly enough.
Who's the poster?
I'm trying to find it right now.
I saw that topic. Yeah.
Did you see it? I didn't make it up. I'm just not talking about Revenge for the sake of talking about Revenge.
I know.
It really is on the floor.
It's okay if you are, by the way. That's perfectly fine.
But of course I can't find it right now. Oh, here it is. The Kisstoric Entity posted that.
There's a shock.
If you can believe that.
98% of all topics on the board at the moment are by that one person.
It's just stream of consciousness, I think, right now, more than anything. But he talks about how he says that, I'll just read it. He says, I think that Revenge did not quite work as a comeback album despite being successful and going gold because the album cover was way too reminiscent of Skid Row, another late 80s hard metal band, and Unholy and Domino. I just thought were great songs, but not featuring the smash hit quality, blah, blah, blah. He says, what did you expect? After Revenge, I think releasing a live through is a big mistake because they had a new member of the band. Yada, yada, yada. So what was I expecting after Revenge? I obviously really enjoyed the album as a teenager and was looking for more of the same. And I didn't get to go to the show. My brother went to the show. He told me all about it. He got me a T-shirt from the show, gave it to me for Christmas. Because he felt bad I didn't get to go. And I wanted, and he was telling me about the show, and I wanted to see that show. I wanted to see. I grew up with Kiss without makeup. That was my Kiss growing up. I wanted to see that show with Bruce and Eric, and I wanted another hard metal album in the same vein as Revenge. And as excited as I was when the reunion happened in '96, there was a part of me that was disappointed because I didn't get to see that show, that lineup. And we all knew once you put the makeup on, there was no going back again. You weren't going to take it off again. It would have been, even Kiss couldn't have done something as goofy as that. So, I wanted something more in the vein of Revenge. And when Carnival of Souls finally came out, I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for since 1992. And we talked a little bit about Carnival on the show last week, and Daniel asked me about it, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it more at the time than I do now, and I still enjoy it. But what I was looking for was more in the vein of Revenge than what we ended up getting. Sorry, Mark, maybe something produced by Ezra in the same vein, and not totally right.
Yeah, Mark, what's your take on that topic?
Actually, I think that I'm kind of in the same boat as Lonnie, because when that album came out, actually, I know, for example, my drummer in the band at the time was just elated with the record because he's a big Eric Singer fan, and he loves Eric Singer as a drummer. And when he heard that he was in Kiss, he was like, at first he didn't believe it, like, get out of here, because he had heard Badlands and stuff like that, and he loves his drumming style, right? And so when he was in there and we saw the video to Unholy and all that, we were like, wow, this is really, really good. We both got the album, and as you all know, there are certain songs I don't like, but overall the record was really good. And it was like a big step up sonically, and it was also a sort of, just overall, I thought the guitars were better. There was more power to it. Everything just sounded much better than the previous album, which we know was, Hot in the Shade. So I loved it, and I didn't get to see them in concert. I don't remember why I missed the show, because my other friend, he ended up going to Toronto and seeing the show, but I was hoping that there was going to be more, just like Lonnie. I was hoping that there's going to be, another record with these guys. When on a Live 3 and all that came out, most people don't like a Live 3. I kind of liked it when it came out. I thought it was, a pretty good representation, especially of, Eric Singer's all over that. Like, his drums are very present in the mix of that album. And I thought he did a great job, even with the old material. And my drummer guy, my friend Jerry, even said, he goes, this is the first time that I actually can say that I like some of the old Kiss songs because of the way Eric Singer drummed them. He puts a little bit more razzmatazz to it. So I was hoping that was going to continue. And when they announced the reunion, I was at first excited about it because I had not seen Kiss in makeup. But I'll tell you, my friend, he was devastated. He was like, oh, no. And, he just didn't want it. He had no interest in seeing Peter Criss back on the drums. He had no interest in seeing them in that. He thought that era was just not his era of Kiss. He just didn't like it. And he honestly stopped listening to Kiss from there on in. And so I was hoping the same, that they would have continued down that path, because, I was listening to a lot of heavier stuff at that time, too, In one way, while I was excited to see the makeup Kiss again, to me it kind of represented sonically a step backwards. They were never as heavy, or they were never known as a kind of, heavy, hard-hitting band. They were known as like an image band, that had great concerts and great shows that had, catchy songs, and that's about it. But the whole, a Revenge era was a totally different thing sonically and, technique wise and everything else.
Ken?
Yeah, Revenge was great. Yeah, I was hoping for another, something follow up that was similar. We got a Live 3 and all that, and then we had to wait for Carnival, which of course they put on hold for a release. But I do remember when at the worldwide Kiss conventions, and I saw them in San Francisco. And I remember someone asking Eric about the new album that they were recording. I don't think it wasn't named yet. The follow up to Revenge, and what is the music like or something like that. And he said it's much, it's a lot darker. He said, and I thought, I thought, well, maybe a more evil kind of thing or something, like that. But I expected it to sound, not too far off from Revenge. But now, looking back at that comment or just thinking about it, it's like, oh, he meant darker. It was a lot darker. I mean, even the sound itself, that grunge kind of sound and the music and the lyrics, they are a lot dark, the subject matter. So I was like, oh, that's what he meant when I listened to it for the first time. So I was expecting, a good follow up to Revenge. Unfortunately, it wasn't there. Carnival Souls is pretty good. I like certain things off of it a lot. But it wasn't the right direction for them to go that way. Another one of those chasing a trend too late. And we've talked about that before. But I was expecting something more like Revenge.
Yeah, so I was hoping for something, and that sounds really stupid, but a live 3 wasn't it. And coming out with that live album so soon after a new member joined and it not really following the form of the previous 2 Alives, I didn't think it did any justice to it. And then we got Kiss My Ass. There wasn't that much activity going on in the Kiss world. We now know or think we know more about what was going on. The tour was not a success. So I missed the Revenge tour clearly because I don't even remember the club tour or being in tune with it in '92 when I was still in Scranton. And then they were in Britain in May, and I was still in the States. And then I moved back to Scotland in August, and then they go on tour in the US. So I missed the whole Revenge era. All I had was Metal Hammer and Kerrang, and by that point Seattle had taken a chainsaw to Los Angeles, and I was actually listening to a lot of Megadeth, Nirvana, Tankard, and Halloween. And that was about the wheelhouse of the music, along with Pink Floyd. So musically, I checked out for those years. You'd still occasionally see them. I went back to university in the UK, so I wasn't following them as closely. But they weren't doing anything in '93, '94, and it would have been a ripe time, instead of doing these stupid projects like Kiss My Ass, to have actually gotten in there and banged out an album, rather than trying to be Alice in Chains 2 years late. Carnival Souls isn't the right album for Kiss, but what would I have liked them to have done a follow-up? I just would have liked them to have done an album, in '93 or '94, to have come off the failure of the tour and just gotten straight back to work and kept going. Because '92, when I heard that album, it felt like a reset to '83, '84, like it was going to be the beginning of a string of similarly themed albums, not there's the album, it's not a success, okay, here's a live album, all right, we're going to do our own tribute, and here's a £9 coffee table book funny. that I can't afford. So it wasn't that. So again, it's all hindsight. Now we know more information. I clearly remember much.
funny. The funny thing about that tribute, now that you mentioned it, was I remember initially I was kind of excited about it because there was this talk about all these bands that were supposed to be on there, that they're supposed to be involved with it. And then what we got afterwards, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, it really was a disappointment in that sense that there was nobody on that, tribute that got me excited. I think the only band on there, if my memory serves me correctly, was not Anthrax on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
I think
And
that was
Extreme.
the only band that was kind of like, okay, that's cool. I mean, even Extreme's version of Strutter was horrible, and I love Extreme, So, but the rest of it was just not what I expected. They named so many big bands that were supposed to be involved in it, and where were they? None of them showed, I guess it was another one of these Gene things where he, hyped the hell out of it, and then just it didn't pan out.
And then there's no Guns N' Roses, there's no Metallica, there's none of the big boys of the day.
Megadeth. Jackal.
None of that's that. Oh, Jackal, come on, push
They were
comes
supposed
to
to be on
shove.
it, yeah.
That was a good album.
They're supposed to be on it too.
Yeah. So you get all
Really
these
good.
kind of Anthrax is so predictable because they were just popping out covers left, right, and center.
Yeah.
It just made a nice change to Sabbath ones. So, all right, let's move into Mark. Why don't you pick a topic from the board?
Surprisingly, I am prepared. I have one. So this is the one that I picked. I'm curious to hear your guys' reaction to this. This was posted by the Kisstoric Entity.
Another one, 2 for 2.
Okay.
You should get him on the show.
Yeah.
No.
Which is Anomaly is a big masterpiece and the real follow-up of Ace Frehley 78 in terms of songwriting, approach, production, musicianship, and skills. Just an absolutely brilliant record from start to finish, and the best post-Kiss solo album for sure. Space Invader and Spaceman did not recapture the magic of Anomaly, sadly and unfortunately. Anomaly is a masterpiece. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that he must be sniffing something because Anomaly, while it was, the comeback that we were waiting for so long. I remember that ridiculous ad commercial with that guy in the motorcycle when he came in the motorcycle, and that guy was talking with that little kid, about Ace Frehley's new record. I thought that was the most ridiculous promo thing I've ever seen. But anyways, they were hyping it up as this big comeback record, and some of it is not bad. I'm not gonna say Anomaly is terrible, but to me personally, and I'm curious to go around and ask all you guys of this, but I think Spaceman absolutely flattens it. That completely kills it. I think Spaceman is probably one of my favorite Ace albums that he did, for sure. Like I think he did a great job on that one. To me, it's still the one I listen to. I don't spin Space Invader, I don't spin Anomaly very much, but I do go back and I put on Spaceman probably more times than I put some of the other ones on. I mean, maybe it's just me, but that's why I'm curious to go around and see what you guys think about this, because I don't think Anomaly is the masterpiece out of those ones mentioned.
Do not adjust your television set. You have entered the Twilight Zone. Lonnie, respond to that.
Well, I don't think Anomaly is a masterpiece. I certainly like it and prefer it over Spaceman or Space Invader. If I had to choose between the three albums that he's released in the last, I guess it's 12 years now, whatever it is, Anomaly is my favorite, and it's one that I will definitely go back to over Spaceman, or I can't even think Space Invader. I can't even think of the name of it. Well, there's decent songs on Space Invader, and there's decent songs on Spaceman. I just think Anomaly's better. I'm not calling it a masterpiece because it does have its clunkers and songs that I will skip every time. I really don't listen to Space Bear very much when I listen to Anomaly. It's not something I really pine that I really want to hear. But I think, and yeah, the commercial, yeah, Mark, I'll agree. The commercial with the guy on the motorcycle, that was really, really corny and really stupid. But I think that Foxy and Free in Outer Space and the cover that he did of Fox on the Run, I think they're good. Sister's on there too. That's great. That's perfect. And It's a Great Life. I think that's a decent and fun song too. not a masterpiece, but definitely my favorite of the three that he's put out post Kiss Reunion, for sure.
What about you, Ken?
Yeah, I don't think Anomaly either is a masterpiece. It's a solid album. It's a pretty good album. Maybe it would have been a masterpiece if Bob Ezrin produced it. I don't know.
There you go. Boom.
Eddie Kramer.
But,
Kramer.
there,
Kramer.
I mean, oh yeah,
That's
now you're
it.
talking.
That's the
Kramer.
only one who should be working with Ace.
That would have been, yeah, I agree with that. But for me, I like Space Invader. That's the one I like. Or I'll just go back to the original Frehley's Comet, debut album, or even the '78 song obviously is the best one of all. But I like Space Invader a little bit better. It's just more, to me, more consistent, from song to song, I think. But I think the production of Anomaly is better than Space Invader, though. But yeah, that's just my preference.
Yeah, I think there's a correlation between a decline in the quality of production and sonics of these albums and the decline in Ace's hearing over the past few years. No,
Yeah.
he has hearing issues. We all know that, but I think his ability to actually hear the separation, even with aid, it is impacted. And he did have, Frank Munoz helping him and Marty Fredrickson also assisting on Anomaly. Now, is Anomaly the rightful heir to Ace 78? Hell no. For me, it's Trouble Walking. Always is, always will be.
Yeah, that's a good album.
Trouble Walking's great.
It's really number 2 in terms of Ace's albums, but again, that's because it's produced by Eddie Kramer, and it's got Richie Scarlett, and that X factor Richie brings into the mix. For me, my taste. I know some people really don't like Richie. I get it, but I actually do like that. What he does in the songwriting as well, that he contributes. A lot of those were his songs on that album. So Anomaly, it's a good album. Without a doubt. Do I listen to that one a lot? No, I'm actually Space Invader for his postmodern albums the most, and I actually enjoy his origins a lot more. I find those actually, just because they're different, and it's like listening to greatest hits, but you got Ace singing them. So Anomaly's still got some very, very good songs. Too Many Faces, I think, is one of Ace's finest to this day. I think A Little Below the Angels is one of his worst. It's right down there with Dolls for my taste. Sister and Foxy and Free, which are Kiss cast, yeah, Sister was as well. To get those on an Ace album were really cool. So there's a lot of good stuff to say about it, but is it the heir? Hell no. No doubt. And I
Really?
would love,
Sorry, go ahead.
I would love Ace to work with Eddie or an engineer again.
Yeah.
It could be Eddie Kramer or Eddie Solon, for that matter. Just to work with an external third party to do that side for his work, and someone who understands Ace and who Ace completely trusts with his music. Mark?
No, it's just I find this absolutely fascinating because from what I remember when we went and did the Spaceman kind of review, I thought most of us were actually kind of giving it a thumbs up. I know a lot of us thought that, Without You I'm Nothing was pretty good. Rocking with the Boys, like the Gene assisted songs were pretty good. So I was actually surprised that now, as time has passed, that our opinions of it have changed so much. But hey, that there's no right or wrong. It's just I was just curious to your reactions of the records now, right?
Yeah, once you're over the thrill of having new music from one of the artists that's been an important part of your life, then you become a little bit more critical. But I think also for myself, as I get older, I listen to the stuff that I grew up with. I'm back into a comfort zone. All this week has been a lot of Floyd, a lot of Rolling Stones, a hell of a lot of Rolling Stones. I went through an 8-hour playlist yesterday, and I was just like,
wow.
Yeah. So I'm going back into a comfort zone, and I'm still excited when a new album comes out. Say the new Halloween, which is one of the standout albums for me in recent times. But I go back and listen to Keys 1 and 2, a lot more, and Walls
Oh,
of
yeah.
Jericho way more than I do the stuff that comes later, and maybe that's just natural. All right, Ken, your turn for a topic.
Okay. First of all, I say, can we say you were stoned after listening to them for 8 hours? Anyway.
I was
Okay.
utterly.
Stop it.
No, Lonnie just told you off.
I got I got one here from Kiss Army Sergeant. The caption is Kiss or Alice. It says he was having a discussion with a buddy about who is the bigger act based on an entire body of work, Alice Cooper or Kiss. They were looking at ticket prices for both shows, and Kisses are significantly more. But I think that has to do with them having a bigger crew, plus all the bells and whistles at their shows every night. Thoughts? So for me, Kiss with the makeup is a lot bigger than Alice Cooper, I think, and that's, I think, part of the draw for their shows and everything. That's why they can sell more seats than Alice and so on. But I think Kiss with not makeup, they may run a little bit eat more even in that case. So I don't know what you guys think about this, but I mean, body of work, and then you say body of work, and you say body of work, I mean, Alice Cooper has a lot of albums, and he's still recording a lot of great albums. Kiss is,
and a lot of his songs you'll hear on the radio.
You'll hear a lot of his songs more than Kiss on the radio, especially back in the day. A lot more, but even today. So I'm just gonna say, it's hard to really say, but for me, it's always Kiss, but that's my preference, of course, because it's my favorite band. But I love Alice Cooper. I do love Alice Cooper. I wish Kiss would have kept recording.
I'll say this. I do listen to Kiss more than I listen to Alice. I've listened to Alice a lot more in the last 5-6 years than I have in a long, long time. There's, when you go album to album, it's interesting, the comparisons, because, you have the connection of Bob Ezrin with Alice and with Kiss. So you have that kind of connection with it. But, some of the early Alice stuff I find a little wanting, like that Pretty's for You is a little hard to listen to. That stuff is a little
unlistenable.
Throw that out.
but once you get to Love It to Death and all those records and all those ones, they're just fantastic. I really love those ones. Like $1 Billion Babies is fantastic. School's Out is great. All those records are good. And even though I'm not a big fan of Flush to Fashion, you got to look at it at the point of that was maybe his elder, you know what I mean? Where he took a complete U-turn musically and did something that people were kind of shocked at. But the one thing I'll give Alice Cooper major props for, and something that I think Kiss fans might be a little envious about compared to Alice fans, is number one, like you mentioned, he makes music still now. I mean, Detroit Stories came out not long ago, and that's actually a pretty decent album. And the one thing about that album that I find that's very interesting, which I think, again, Kiss fans might be a little envious of Alice fans, is that Alice went ahead and brought back people from the original Alice Cooper band on that album. Could you imagine if Kiss made a record and brought back members of the old, party back in on it? I mean, I think this is where the Kiss fans are kind of fuck, man, look at Alice, he brought back his old members, why can't Kiss do? You know what I mean? I can see that happening in the minds of some Kiss fans. But that's why I got to give Alice a bit of a nod of the hat, because he keeps writing music. I mean, the man's in his 70s right now, and he's still touring and he's still doing stuff, and he puts on great shows, and he hasn't really slowed down. He's still doing the Guillotine stuff and all those things he still does that made him the big draw that he is. And, I think that he's just stayed the course. And I think that's really important. And like I said, Detroit Stories may not be the greatest thing since, Billion Dollar Babies, but it's a decent record. And that whole thing with him bringing back those original members did draw a lot more people to the record, I think, than if he didn't do it.
All right, Lonnie. Alice Cooper.
I love Alice. I listen to him quite a bit. Probably, right up there with Kiss or Guns N' Roses as much as far as artists that I like and artists that I listen to on a consistent basis more than anyone else. And probably the act I've seen the second most amount of times. I mean, I've seen Alice come through every year for years. Anytime he comes to town, it's like, I have to go. I've waited. He played a small theater here. It's going back a few years, but I took the day off work and just sat first in line all day because I wanted to be right up against the stage. I mean, to that extent, I really enjoy Alice, and I agree with Mark in the fact that I really enjoy the fact that he puts out new music on a fairly consistent basis, especially for a guy who's in his 70s, who has no intention of quitting, has not pulled a farewell tour card, knows who he is, appreciates who he is, knows that, if I'm going to play a big venue, it's a co-headlining type thing. And if I'm going to tour by myself, I'm going to play a decent sized theater or a smaller theater. I am who I am at this point in my life. And he's accepted that, I think.
Mm.
And he's at peace with that. Where, I used to sell out Madison Square Garden in the 70s, but I am who I am, and I think he's happy with who he is. So, and obviously because he still puts out music, and he knows he's not stupid. He knows, well, this album isn't going to go top 10. This album isn't going to go gold. But he loves one would think that he loves the process. He loves the creativity. He wants to express himself through new music. He continues to want to express himself through new music. And I agree with Mark. Is Detroit Stories Billion Dollar Babies? Is it Alice Cooper Goes to Hell? Is it From the Inside? No. But it's good. It's still Alice Cooper. And I love the fact that one of my favorite artists still puts out new music. He doesn't put out a new action figure line every 3 months. He puts out new music on a fairly consistent basis. And nothing against the action figures, but he does do, to his credit, he's true to himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the original topic was who's the bigger act. Well, Kiss is a bigger act because they're playing bigger venues on a consistent basis. But Alice is fun though. I mean, an Alice show is fun. Alice is more of a Broadway production in my mind than Kiss is. And like at a certain point, this is going to happen. At a certain point, this is going to happen. And then he's going to die. And then we're going to bring out the guillotine. And then he's going to die. And then he's going to come back, And when he dies, Chuck Garrett's going to sing "I Love the Dead." And it's more of a production than a Kiss show is.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a little but you could say maybe a little more predictable than a Kiss show is, because at this point this is going to happen, at this point this is going to happen. But he mixes up his set list too.
Yeah.
And it's not the same set list at all. And now he does play Schools Out for Summer. He does play No More Mr. Nice Guy. He does play Poison. There are 5 or 6 songs that he has to play. But other than that, you don't know what you're going to get from tour to tour.
That's an excellent point, Lonnie.
So that's another one that I will give Alice Cooper. Not only does he create new music, but he switches up his sets.
Mm-hmm.
Alice, I did that, I think, was it this year or last year? I went through his albums from start to finish. I've never been a big Alice Cooper fan, mainly because the time when I was getting into music, I loved Raise Your Fist and Yell. That was the first Alice album I bought, other than Greatest Hits. And after that came the stupid Hollywood shit, Trash and Hey Stupid, which I despised with a passion. So, I wasn't much into Alice at all. Kiss is definitely the bigger act, but I think Alice has a bigger body of work that remains integral part of what's left of American radio programming. There's probably 10 or 15 Alice Cooper songs that you can hear on the radio versus maybe 5 by Kiss. So from a body of work perspective, Alice wins, and as you've already mentioned, he's still making music. Last album of his I bought was Welcome to My Nightmare 2, whatever the second one was, which I did enjoy. The last ones I really loved were Brutal Planet and Dragontown. So, I think he's backed himself with a very capable rotating band of players who motivate him to keep moving forward, whether it's, making new music, switching up set lists, whereas you've got Tommy and Eric and Kiss who could do that role, but they've got bookends on either side of them. The bookends of no, not interested in doing that. Again, the response of the audiences. Now, I don't follow Alice Cooper closely, but on this tour where he went out with Ace, I did watch some of the shows, just for curiosity. And, the first one I tuned into, they were playing Feed My Frankenstein, which is a song I really like. It's a Zodiac Mind Warp song, and it goes back, I think, to Wayne's World. So, I was thrilled by that, as well as hearing some of the hits and some stuff that I didn't immediately know. I like the point about, what was it, Zipper? That
Zipper catches him.
Yeah, that he did go out of his comfort zone as well. But when I went through the catalog, I found the Alice Cooper band is where I sit the happiest, because once it gets to Welcome to My Nightmare, I think Welcome to My Nightmare is horrendously overrated. I just don't. I don't get it. Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. I was like, please. And then Lay Some Whiskey. It was all downhill after Muscle of Love for me in terms of my tastes. But yet I remember Constrictor coming out and the excitement of Alice. He's back. Oh, the man behind the mask. And how you can hear that. But short answer, Kiss. All right, I'm gonna do one. So I had 4. We've got time for one more topic. Let's see. Global Kiss Highpoints. What do you think are the biggest international moments in Kisstory? I didn't even read the question. I just took the title. I'm going with it where I want Lonnie.
Biggest international moments in Kisstory. Well, I think you have to start with Tiger Stadium and with MTV Unplugged. Those talk about historic events. It's both of them. Number one, Kiss doesn't play stadiums in the U.S. hardly ever, and the fact that they played that stadium, sold it out, blah 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 blah, and it was the first, and it was their 4 original members back and make a thing, something that Kiss fans and America had been pining for quite a while, and they reacted in the manner in which they did. So those 2 come to mind immediately, and I think of historic what was it, historic or worldwide phenomenon, whatever it was. And then in the 70s, I don't know if there's and you guys may say something, but I don't know if there's a moment. I think it was more of a progression and more of a building, and just a momentum build in the 70s, peaking in 77, 78. As far as a moment goes, the 2 things that come to my mind are MTV Unplugged and Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think that for me, when I think of a big, huge moment for Kiss, I always think back to 1980 and when Kiss went to Australia the first time. I mean, that whole thing where they went over there and they were in the newspaper every single day for, like they said, even when Gene's shoes got repaired, that was the front news thing in the papers in Australia. So I always think back that if there's a huge moment in history for them internationally, it's always been that for me. That there was such a big build up to that, and even the concerts. I mean, they had that one that they did on the Kissology DVD there. That's actually one of my favorite concerts to watch. Actually, I like that one just because of the fact that it's an odd lineup for me. With Eric and with Ace, right? So I like it. I mean, it could sound better, and they could have performed better. But I think that at that point, they were so overwhelmed by the reaction, that they were having at that point. Because don't forget, Dynasty, while the record did really good for them in '79, that tour wasn't exactly, very successful for them, and America was starting to kind of, the party was over kind of at that point. So to go to a country that was loving them and embracing them that much, I think they were very happy about that. So that's the one thing that comes to me instantly.
Total hype. Just leaving a trail of poor vendors saying, we made all this shit and no one's buying it after they were gone. Ken?
Yeah. So, one of the things I think is related to, and this is just what, in the U.S.?
No, internationally.
Global.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, and biggest though overall kind of thing. I don't know. I just think related to Lonnie's before Lonnie's is the Grammy Awards. Appearing on there was a huge thing, and that got so much publicity with them being on there, and then it was all over the news. I mean, it was just crazy after that. That was kind of like the beginning. But otherwise, going back, I could say, maybe the 4 dates at, Madison Square Garden, something like that in '77, or Australia, but it was just Australia, right? They were dead here and dead other places, so I can't really. I mean, it was huge in Australia. I have to admit, that was huge, but a lot of people didn't know about it. At least if you weren't in Australia, you didn't know. So, I mean, those are some things, and maybe the Dodger Stadium thing was kind of, well, there's 2 Dodger Stadium things, right?
No, there's one Dodger Stadium.
Oh, well, no. I mean, back in 70, Destroyer.
Anaheim.
Anaheim, sorry. It was Anaheim. Yeah, that one I think was a big deal because they didn't play stadiums back then, as far as I know, right?
They did a few. They did Atlanta, Roosevelt. They went they went their peak in '76 on 4 stadiums.
I think that was a big one for them also, and then the one you went to later, for Psycho Circus, I think was another deal. But yeah, those are the ones.
Yeah, I'm still pleased. As someone who didn't get to see a lot of shows, to actually have seen them in a stadium, was quite an event. All right, I'm going to go total global for a global Kiss Highpoints. 2 that pop to mind, Rio. And just to see that wave of bouncing people with the flashing lights and I Love It Loud, that scene, I was watching a video of it. I was going to use it for the Eric Carr remembrance thing, but I couldn't remember if that was not allowed to use or not, so I didn't use it. But it was just so crystal clear seeing that audience pulsing, and that to me is just one of the best representations of the mania of a Kiss concert, where everyone is fully invested in it, and you don't have the rich people down front, holding their champagne glasses and truffles. Because they can afford to be there. That's a heaving mass of humanity responding to the music, even though they speak Portuguese and the band singing in English. So it's just primal, and it sums up music and Kiss to me. The other one is going to be Bremen, 1999. And the FU to the authorities. We're blowing our wad at the end of the show. No pyro. Hey, we'll show you pyro. That is just one of my favorite moments in Kisstory, when they blew Bremen up. It was just a marvelous, marvelous occasion that you don't expect out of such a corporate band like Kiss. There was no, oh, good, we get to save our money, that we don't have to use the pyro tonight, and we get to badmouth the authorities to the audience like they did in, Worcester in '83 on the Creatures tour, when they weren't allowed to use pyro there. And instead, boom, Kiss does pyro, this is pyro. It just makes me, and there's so many global highlights. You
Sure.
know, it's good to have that great mix, that MTV moment. That was news around the world. That made news when it happened, or at least MTV in Europe, because I remember at Tiger Stadium. Come on, the Grammys, walking out with Tupac. You know, the intrepid, Kiss. I mean, that was what was so good about Kiss. Let's have a press conference. Which aircraft carriers available? I mean, that sort of stuff is what we still celebrate and what makes them so good. So those are some good topics on the board this week. We didn't get to some of the other ones, and I'd like to actually do this at some point in the future to talk about second sighting. Is the criticism unfair, or was it Ace's attempt at doing Crazy Nights? Going the same kind of route into, Ace Frehley goes Bon Jovi,
Right.
which every other band kind of did. Very few were able to forge a path back to commercial success after having success previously without reinventing themselves or hopping on a bandwagon. And Ozzy's Ultimate Sin shifted 2 million copies. You can see
Love that album.
So do I. Again, it needs a remix. But
That's actually a very controversial point I'm doing on a live stream that I do now. The one that you come on sometimes, the one I do there with Patrick. We're going to be doing a live stream where we're doing Jake E. Lee against Randy Rhoads. Because me and him both love Jake E. Lee much better than Randy Rhoads. And we think that might be a controversial topic as far as playing music that way. But anyways, sorry.
You going to throw Brad into the mix there?
I love Brad Gillis. I think that he did a fantastic job on Speak of the Devil. I really wish he would have stayed with Ozzy. But, he was allured with the, no, Night Range is going to be bigger, but,
Yeah, I got to queue up that debut tomorrow. All right, that's it for this week. That's some topics on the board. Keep posting those topics. We'll either mock you or we'll talk about your topic. Or maybe we'll do both.
Or both.
As the case may well be. So for now, from Mark, from Ken, Lonnie, and myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.